So that's us live now. Usually takes a little moment or two until I start hearing myself echoed. So just give it a minute till that all starts coming through. And then I'll give you an official welcome. There we go. So very, very warm welcome to everyone here live. A warm welcome to Isaya and everybody who will be joining us on the replay and possibly randomly stumbling upon us live on YouTube. Just experimenting today by making that go public on YouTube, which is a first for me. Not recommended during Mercury retrograde, but I like to be dangerous. So here we are. And so welcome to the very second episode in Divine Business Journeys, which is a guest interview series here in the Divine Business Circle. And we are meeting creatives, healers, spiritual business owners, and learning from our guests' experience, receiving their tips, their gifts, their challenges and breakthroughs on their divine business journey. So I'm very, very honored to have our guest, Isaya Belle, who is the tech goddess. Hello, Isaya.
Hey, everyone. Hello. I'm really excited to be here. It's like, ooh, this is posh. You know, it's the right place and the right time for me to be talking. You'll see. I can't wait. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. And you are the tech goddess. So who better to have on during a Mercury retrograde when all things tech can go a little bit haywire?
No, just slightly.
So what I'd like to do today is ask you, Isaya, about a little bit about your divine business journey, and then we'll go into a little bit more about the Mercury retrograde. We can swap tips and we can ask our sisters here on the call if there's anything else that they would like to input and share. And then we'll complete our session with a lovely Mercury retrograde or Mercury meditation with Isaya. So looking forward to that. All right.
Excited too.
Yeah. So Isaya, I know that you've recently kind of claimed the term the tech goddess. So you've had various other iterations of
well, I have many titles, and yes. I've decided one of my main titles is the Too Much Woman. So being the Too Much Woman gives me permission to be many things, right? Being too much. So one of the things, I'm a traveling priestess. I run retreats in various parts of the world. I am a coach. I'm an artist. I am so many things, but I'm mostly Isaya, and I consider myself an inspiration mentor and a goddess teacher. I've been teaching around the Greek goddesses for years, mostly the Greek ones for one reason. I am Greek. And I was told the gods and the goddesses stories when I was a little girl. And I realized growing up that I had this connection with those archetypes in the same way that some people have connections with archangels or angels. And I thought, okay, this is unique. And this might be, for me, it was kind of an easy way to define issues and to solve problems, but it wasn't the case for everyone. So I started there, and I started working with 8 Greek goddesses archetypes and helping my women clients to kind of reconnect with all parts of themselves through that. And then I got asked a freaking lot about, hey, all right, I want to do this, but I also have this business and, my tech is. And then I realized that I've been working with tech for many, many years. I am 55 today, and my first computer I was 13 years old. So it's kind of, this thing has been part of my life, and I've been experimenting and playing with computers for a very long time. I created my first website in 2001 when literally no one did. And I kept playing and having fun with the tech. And so I realized that so many of my business friends, business peers in the spiritual entrepreneur world, which is the world where I dwell, were at a loss with the tech. And I thought, hey, maybe I could have two arrows in my bow. So one would be everything about the magic and the goddess and the divine feminine. And the other one would be all the tech. So now I'm a goddess teacher and I'm a tech goddess, or I'm a tech goddess teacher if you want. So I basically help women entrepreneurs untangle the tech and have fun with it, because this is my belief that it can be fun, or rather that it has to be fun, because otherwise you're not doing it if it's not fun. So
untangling the tech, I love that.
Untangling the tech and rocking the online world.
And
and daring, if you want to have an online business, to be techie enough so that you are not bewildered by your own business, basically. So that's what I'm trying to help women do, but also to reconnect with the basic feminine archetypes, with the divine feminine. And I do both in the same way. So I do tech the feminine way, and I do divine feminine the tech way. So I have a quiz, for instance, if you want to learn about your divine archetypes. I created a quiz, so I did the tech part of, and in the same way, when I do tech, I really don't do it the bro marketing way, because that's not my way and that's not my clients' ways either. So plus I'm an artist and I love painting and gluing things onto each other and folding papers and creating things and sewing and so many things. And I'm a mother, and I could go for an hour and a half talking about myself, but it's not that relevant.
Yes, well, you're clearly a multi-passionate goddess.
I am.
And I love that goddess symbol that you have in your logo, which is remind me which goddess that is again.
This is the goddess Estia. So she's called Estia in Greek, and she's connected with the third chakra. So basically, she's all about the color yellow, and she is basically the goddess of the sacred fire, and she's here to remind me and anyone who works with me that keeping the sacred fire in ourselves alive is a major duty, and it's maybe the most important thing that we have to do, is keeping that sacred flame alive every day of the person that I am, and not letting anything, not tech, not other people, stop this flame. You don't say stop. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I am Greek, French, Swiss, but I am not. English is not my first language, so I might get lost in translation sometimes.
Oh, well, that's great. I love having people who are from different parts of the world, being half Indonesian and half Scottish myself, and I've grown up with people whose first language isn't English. So I actually particularly enjoy working with people who have unusual accents and so on, because I went to an international school as well. So for me, that feels like normal. The global language is just absolutely amazing, different accents and so on, and how fortunate it is that we will seem to have a common language in English, although I think it's really encouraged to learn different languages where possible.
It's for me it's amazing that I can now, thanks to internet and English, work all across the globe and meet so many amazing women, and do some work in Australia, Wisconsin, and imagine that we have like tentacles that spread around the world and spread some of my magic all around the world. It's just great. I love it.
And I think Mercury,
of course, very connected to the Mercury thing, because when Mercury retrograde hits the fan, sometimes I can't work at all because if the tech is decided to stop.
Well, you're in a way working with people's year-long Mercury retrograde issues, in the sense of untangling the tech that people experience throughout the year. But when it's actually Mercury retrograde, so you say that you can't work sometimes. Does it just, what's been your experience?
It happens. But my experience has been rather, my first experience with Mercury altogether is a childhood one, and so Mercury in Greek is called Hermes, and Hermes is my favorite god. He's always been, for some reason.
Yeah.
I always loved him to bits. He is clever, ingenious. He's kind of a trickster. And he's supposed to be beautiful. Plus he's got flying feet. I mean, the guy can literally fly. He invented music. It's like, no, who doesn't love him? The young one of gods, he was cute, at least. It was like, sure, I love it. That happens. My back.
You're back. You went a bit glitchy for a minute, but carry on. We're getting the gist.
Yeah, that happens. I actually have a strong connection to the god Mercury, and I've had for a long time, but I have an even stronger one since 2001, precisely October 28th, 2001, when my son was born, whose name is Hermes.
Wow.
So both my children have French names, but their second names are Greek, and my son's second name is Hermes, because well, it felt like an obvious choice. I wanted a Greek name for him, and so for me, I have Hermes at home whenever he comes back from university. And guess what he's studying? Computer engineering. So the guy just
I was about to say, is it communications? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
And he loves podcasts, and he's really it. And when I miss him too much, I look at this card. He looks just like that. So that's
really? Wow.
Which is the Mercury card from Kyle Gray's deck. So for me, the connection with Mercury has been always very close to my heart. And so when I first heard about Mercury retrograde, which was after my son was born, because I came into this whole astrological, astronomical knowledge very late in my life, I thought, no, I'm not going to buy this, that Mercury retrograde is bad, because it can't be. It's just a boy. So, he can't be bad per se. So I've always been kind of resistant to the beware of Mercury retrograde. And I did research to find, is there any way that we can get past and what's happening in reality, so astronomically, but then also, are we maybe making it up worse than it is, and maybe is it an opportunity instead of only a challenge, and maybe we can find ways to do things during the retrogrades that we don't do the rest of the time, which is maybe a good idea. Absolutely. So yeah, that's my first story with Mercury retrograde, is that one.
Yeah, I love
for me it's like and you were saying, I think you wrote somewhere that today is Wednesday, and that is Mercury Day, just for in case you don't know that. Wednesday in French is mercredi, so it literally has the name Mercury in it. So in France we can't have any doubts that it's today. Now, for me, being a Greek goddess specialist, let's call it this way, I also know that it's the day of Athena as well, and Athena and Hermes are very, very connected, in that Athena is mostly goddess of brain, mind, thought. And so I always think that, when Mercury goes retrograde, it's Athena takes up more space. And so maybe there's a possibility to go into thinking rather than doing. So going into the Athena archetype, which is more about the mind and making up decisions, planning. She's the princess of organization. So when she takes up all the space, because Mercury is hiding in retrograde, maybe we can do some more thinking and less doing.
Yes. So. And I think especially for this Mercury in retrograde, because Mercury is in Gemini, which is the home sign of Mercury. Well, one of two home signs, because Virgo is the other home sign. Mercury has two, it rules two zones in astrology. So it feels like a particularly potent one, which is why I was so excited that you were so up for doing it. Because I think a lot of people, when you propose to do something in a Mercury retrograde, let alone, it was literally last Friday that we talked about this. So I love your mercurial spontaneity and willingness to do something like this during a Mercury retrograde, because I mean, it does really embody that spirit of Mercury, which is just sort of so go with the flow, and it will, you know, Mercury descends to the depths of hell and is the divine messenger, who will then also ascend to the highest heavens and will associate with all levels of society. And that's one of the things I love about Mercury. He's the messenger. He travels the world. He's the protector of travelers and tradesmen. And particularly since we, you know, we're sharing this conversation with the Divine Business Circle today, I really feel it's helpful for people who consider themselves divine business owners to connect with the divine messenger. And certainly on a Wednesday, for example, at least give Mercury a little nod, or Athena, as the case may be. That's new to me. Thank you for that tip. I actually love the symbolism of Athena's owl and her wisdom. So yeah, thank you for that. I'll take that with me. I'd love to hear about story number 2, which you alluded to. Is there some more Mercury?
Sorry, you just broke up. Can you
sorry,
go?
did I just tap my microphone?
No, I think it's my internet, but if please repeat your...
You'd mentioned that there was another Mercury story that you had to share. Some
I have many stories, but so I catch myself. That's the fun. That's the fun part. One of the things is, for me, Mercury retrograde is also like a window to the past, and so we can go and see what happened, and do I want to go back there, and is there something that I need to finish from the past, or is there something that I need to let go from the past? And so I'm not going to go into my life, but I have a roller coaster. So I decided to let go of things during this Mercury retrograde, and it feels, you know, that every filter and meter, which is amazing. I wanted to tell you, I'm supposed to be really conscious about these, and then myself out an old boyfriend on Facebook. You've been thinking, oh, if we could reconnect, and then I thought, Mercury retrograde, darling, what are you playing? You know. So I had to laugh really at myself for getting caught into this idea that the past can be the present again. And, you know, I might contact the guy, although I'm happily married. I don't intend to do anything with him. But it was like, oh, okay, I get caught with that. And then 5 minutes after that, I get an email. I was working. And so I go onto this client's website, who is really unsure about her daring to have an online business. So she wanted a website. I created the website, but she's like, oh, do I share the website? You know, she's in this visibility issues position. And so every week for the websites that I create, in one of the packages that I go for, I do the upgrading and updating of all the plugins and everything for my clients so that they don't get into the tech annoying things. So this is Friday. I go into her website to update her plugins. No website at all. So, you know, it's the 404 page that says this website doesn't exist, this domain is not attributed. So without freaking too much, I reach out to her and say, hey, can you reach out to your host? Long story short, the host deleted the whole website.
Oh, wow.
So I worked for 3 blooming weeks. She paid me and she has no website.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was thinking, you know, it's like, of course, this is going to happen during a retrograde. And my recommendation to her was, okay, we're going to breathe and we're going to take the retrograde as in we're going to take a vacation now from this, and we're not going to even try, because, first of all, the website might well reappear after the retrograde, just like magic, because things happen, and I'm not going to go and, put myself in knots. I said, reach out to your clients, say my website is down for a while. Everything will survive. You can even send a special offer while my website is down. You have the special offer. And she said, oh, great idea. She made some money out of this offer. And she has no website. And it kind of, I could have gone into, I've been working 3 weeks and everything has disappeared. She could have gone into, oh my God, I had a brand new website and now it's down. Instead of that, we kind of took a breather, decided to not push our luck, and magic then happened. So it's kind of, if we can go with the retrograde instead of going, and then she reached out on Sunday saying, and I'm not sure I want a website like this, because we're going to have to redo it, obviously, but maybe I'd rather have a different type of website. So, but I had this instant of, sheer panic. And then I thought, okay, and breathe, and breathe.
I think I've weathered so many. I mean, we all have. I think some people may not be aware that they've been weathering a Mercury retrograde if you don't follow, if you aren't really following the planets. But now when I'm in them, I mean, every time because I am so aware of them, I feel that, right, I'm preempting it. I know things are going to happen. And yet when the little glitches happen, like for me, we've got some new tenants who are supposed to be signing a contract to sublease our house while my husband comes to visit me here in Indonesia. And there was cross messages, and he'd actually already sent it, but I received a message from him saying he hadn't received it, so I sent it with different details to him. So anyway, I've spent most of today just troubleshooting that, and I'm thinking, I want to go through my Mercury retrograde stuff and share things with whoever turns up on the call. And it's ended up being, I'm being taught, by Mercury directly. So sometimes what you think you need, well, not even sometimes, always during Mercury retrograde, you get a butt kicking. But I always find, if we remind ourselves, this is something I remind myself, to 10x our sense of humor during Mercury retrogrades, because I find we just seem to lose our funny bone after this relentless.
And for me, it's like, if you can consider that it's Mercury, the god, who is a trickster. I mean, major thing is trickster and joker. Everything can be a joke, and
doesn't feel funny when you're at the butt end.
I got 3 weeks of my work deleted, so I could have gone into real panic mode or distress. But what would it change, really? I mean, deeply, what would it change? Would the site reappear? No, it wouldn't. It's gone for now. So the only thing that but that's a general rule outside of Mercury retrograde. I always choose how I react to things that happen. And that changes my life. If I react with panic mode and stress, or if I'm able, which, for me is a definite learned process. It's not innate. But if I'm able to go and say, hey, surprise, motherfucker, it's like, this is not going to work the way you planned it. And I'm obsessed with planning. I have a program on planning and being organized. So, but I'm learning and finding so much joy in being disrupted in my programs, because that's when the magic happens. That's when we get out of our comfort zone, when we are not into the plan thing. And if we can give ourselves permission to open up to that. And Mercury is also very good on intuition for me. So if I can allow that, everything has a message for me. And
can I just repeat back what you just said, which was the joy of being disrupted? Did I hear that right? The joy of being disrupted. I mean, that is a really powerful mindset, isn't it, to adopt? at the best of times, but especially during a Mercury retrograde, if we can find joy in the disruptions and almost, I always think of that phrase, I can't actually remember the phrase right now as I'm thinking about it, but it's something about when you trip, turn it into a dance rather, on the way down or something like that. There's a more eloquent way of saying it, but almost like we start embracing the little slip-ups and the little last minute changes.
There's two things there for me. There's the idea of perfection, which is always not a good idea. Because let me just remind, this is one of the things that I repeat constantly to myself and to others. Perfection means that you don't want to move, right? Because if you actually reach perfection, you never ever want to go away from that, right? So that means that you are in a place that you don't move anything, you don't change anything. The only things that never change and that don't move are dead things. Yes. Everything alive moves, changes, evolves, so perfection is definitely not a goal here. So if I can agree that my goals and my dreams of perfection will be disrupted, and that is a sign that I'm alive and that everything happening is alive, and I can change my mind. And I can readjust, and I can be alive, basically, and open up to the possibility that joy is in there somewhere, because the other thing is, the only other place that is like kind of this safe, organized place is our comfort zone. And remember, nothing ever happens in there. So we need the disruption. I believe we need the disruption. And I'm almost grateful for the disruption of Mr. Hermes when he comes down playing tricks on us. I'm not saying that, I don't have a 5 seconds to start with, but I can breathe into it and say, okay, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What am I learning here? What are the opportunities to say, hey, I can't work today because my internet is down. So I can go into Mercury retrograde altogether, or I can say, hey, it's sunny outside, let me go and have a walk.
Yes, yeah.
And I'll work tomorrow, or I'll work at some point.
I think it's really so for people, as an astrologer, I'm thinking people who have a lot of mutable signs in their chart, I think we'll be okay with that type of Mercury energy, because some people just naturally thrive on change, love change, find it exciting for change. Whereas there's others who have more of the fixed element, or the more earthier types of signs, will, as you say, probably more lean towards the comfort zone. And it's good to have a healthy balance of everything. Obviously, if everything's always in trickster mode, then our nervous system
this would be very tiring.
We're lucky that Mercury retrograde is only 3 times in a year and not just all year round. At least Mercury gives us a wee bit of a break in between times. But I think for those of us who haven't quite been born with this Mercury retrograde gene, or whatever you would call it, we can train our minds, and as you mentioned earlier, the power of thought, and certainly with Mercury there is this connection to thought and communication, and how we speak to others, but also how we speak to ourselves and how we suggest things to ourselves. Like you said before, how much of this is we're speaking into existence, this sort of, oh, everything's awful during a Mercury retrograde. It's almost like the spell that we're casting. The word spell actually comes from actually spelling out our words and how
but I think that Mercury retrograde is also a very good opportunity for us to watch what we're talking, to listen to the words that come out there, and make sure that we are not the person miscommunicating. Because I used to find myself very threatened by that, there's going to be things happening to me. But now I think, hey, sometimes I'm the one who writes an email and forgets to send it, or writes an email that is not clear and does not provide a clear explanation. And then the other person, so it's also about checking out our own ways of communicating.
Yes.
And as you were saying very nicely, communicating to oneself, because you know,
I think
so many of us have very harsh inner voices.
Yes, I think it's quite helpful if we can see the Mercury retrograde period with some humility, because in a way, Mercury is showing us where we've kind of maybe solidified our ways of thinking or have made assumptions. And Mercury, in its playful way, will kind of trip us up and trick us. And, you know, our egos don't like being told that we're not perfect and that we're doing, you know, we're not. And so, I
but
think,
you know, I would go for, in most circumstances, not all of them, but in most circumstances, when, you know, something bad happens during a retrograde, nobody dies. So we have to bring it back to a normal thing, you know, nobody dies. This is not a case of life and death. It's a case of my work has been ruined. Right, then I'm still here, I'm still standing, you know, and there's still sunshine and the earth is rotating and I've got food and I've got a roof over my head. So it's also a kind of a, you know, again, Hermes or Mercury is a trickster. It's not, he's not killing anyone, you know, it's not life and death. It's just tiny tricks.
They feel like that at times. when we're stuck in it, and then that kind of, our wounded child is triggered to the max, and it, you know, it can be an opportunity just to allow ourselves to have a big old cry, because, you know, you know, sometimes that is what is needed, really.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask,
it's also such an opportunity to find to listen to the coincidences, the synchronicities, the magic intuitive hits, you know, this is also a gift. So including the coincidences that feel bad, you know, or dangerous.
Or especially those. Maybe. I wanted to ask those of our friends who are on the call, how have you been finding Mercury? Feel free to type it into the chat box. Have you been getting any insights from Mercury? Have you found it a breeze? Have you even noticed that it's been Mercury retrograde? How has it been affecting you? And you know, if you have any tips or how you've overcome it, I'd love to hear, because there's always a collective wisdom.
There's usually very much clarity to be had during retrograde, you know, clarity on what am I supposed to let go, for instance, what is still, while the people are writing, I'm talking, but I'll close my mouth once you start.
Or maybe that you don't feel like sharing, that's absolutely fine as well.
Fine too. So for me, this is the most crucial thing is the looking inwards during a retrograde. You know, that for me, the call is for retreat, rest, looking inwards, listening to the inside, and to the little voice in there. That for me, I see as Mercury, you know, talking to me, kind of, and the amazingness of the revelations that could come as soon as I stop trying to push against the retrograde. So as soon as I stop trying to do, even though it doesn't work, even though it's more complicated, even though my internet collapses, even though my computer has got a breakdown, or, you know, and as soon as I just let go of this pushing force, so much clarity can come, so much, so many insights.
Yes, there's this invitation to surrender, and I often think of retrogrades also as quite yin energy, isn't it? Because rather than moving forward, there's a sense of retreating backwards, sort of rethinking, resetting, as you say, you know, taking time to retreat. And you said earlier you don't like to start anything new during this period, which, you know, I feel is a good I
think it's a great kind of period to make plans.
Yes.
On the other hand, you know, so deciding,
just not launching them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you can just use this time where I believe that our intuition is heightened, with communications with great ideas from the divine, and that's that part, then we can make the best of plans. And again, using Athena's energy, who is kicking in, the obsessed organizer and planner. And then from then on, you can maybe proceed to plan and program the doing after the retrograde.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of comments here. So we've got Paula, who's shared, I have been finding great clarity about what I've been needing to let go of. And I've been doing some intense hypnotherapy work on self-sabotage and inner child work. It's been amazing. So that's, a really powerful way of using this time, especially the inner child. So I think Mercury has that real childlike energy as well, hasn't it? That kind of playful, fun, light. But the shadow side of the inner child is the wounded child, and that's part of the whole childhood archetype as well, which Mercury is very much.
For me, there's really so much to be said in life in general around going with the flow of the natural cycles of the universe instead of against them. So it's like our menstrual cycles, if I were a woman, the season cycles, the astrological and astronomical cycles, all these, if we stop trying to go against them and we go with, there's so much goodness and joy to be found.
Absolutely. And we've got another comment from Anna, who says, I've definitely noticed the disruption, in particular at work, and I will now try to reflect on it and find something positive about it. That's great that you can take that from our talk, Anna. And like I say, Mercury is often associated with trade and business. So we may often find, our work area or communication with colleagues or clients disrupted. So it's always worth double checking the email before you send. Even when you double check it, you may find you've sent it to the wrong person, or it is incomplete, or you forgot to send the attachment. I've been doing that over and over. So, even if you try and triple check everything, we just need to be kind to ourselves, because these things will happen.
Yeah.
I think it does teach that not being a perfectionist.
I think we need to remember also that, it can be nobody's fault. It doesn't have to be somebody's fault. It's just at this time we are less prone to making perfect things technologically and communication wise. That's it.
I wrote down a quotation, Isaya, which you might appreciate because it comes from Socrates, the ancient Greek philosopher. And
the Greeks know everything.
They actually do.
Joking.
Astrology is very much, all the mythological archetypes in Western astrology anyway are based on the Greek mythologies.
That's also why I work with those, because they've been around for so long. It's like archangels, so they've been worshipped and discussed for so long that they actually have a very powerful presence on Earth, mostly in Europe, obviously, today, because of the length and the amount of people who worshipped and believed in them.
So the quotation from Socrates was to always ask yourself three questions, which is it true? Is it kind? And is it necessary? Which we've probably all heard before, maybe didn't realize it came from Socrates, but I wish I told myself this earlier when I spoke to my husband in quite an irate way. We were both blaming each other for sending them wrong. Anyway, we got our wires uncrossed with a few harsh words in between, but again, sense of humor. We need to bring that back.
I think we need. This is the one thing that we need to get through any Mercury retrograde, is a good sense of humor, and remember that. In most cases, nobody dies.
And
also, there are some iterations where it's really a serious problem, but in most cases, it's just a tiny hiccup, and it can teach me something. It can provide a happy break, like, ooh, okay. I have to wait until this person answers my email.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're procrastinating it or whatever, or the tech is not working. Let me go and make myself a cup of tea in the meantime, instead of just being there and, and writing another email saying, hey, you didn't answer my previous email. Ooh,
yeah.
breathe.
And if you do, then just love and forgive yourself and the other person.
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely. It happens.
So
yes,
at this point, as much as I want to continue talking about Mercury, because I could talk about Mercury all day, my ascendant is in Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury. So that's my connection to Mercury. I really, really enjoy Mercury's magic and everything, the empowerment that comes from embracing Mercury and becoming friends with Mercury.
Yeah. And remembering, one last thing is that Mercury was the messenger from the divine to the humans, right?
Yeah,
so it's like literally when Hermes talks to us, it's the divine talking, and he is the messenger. That means that he has the tools and the capacity to talk to a human being, which is not the case of all the other gods and goddesses who basically are completely inept as far as humans are. They're not interested in humans. He's the only one who's really interested in us. So, kind of.
I don't think the gods will enjoy being called inept, but I'm sure they'll forgive you.
I mean, at communicating with humans, not inept in general. No, we have enough of
so and you mentioned the connection with intuition, and on that note, I wonder, Isaya, if you would like to lead us in a Mercury meditation at this point.
Yes, I do.
So 15 minutes of our call.
This is going to be absolutely enough. It's not a very long one. I want to explain a little bit just before I go. I write my meditations because of my not speaking English as a first language thingy, and also because I noted that when I read, my voice gets different and quieter, and I think it works better on the receiving end. So I started writing the meditation the other day, and what came up was literally something around breathe. It's going to be all right. So yes, it is a Mercury retrograde meditation, not a Mercury in general meditation.
Okay.
And so I don't exactly know how much time, but I'm sure we'll have enough.
Yes.
So the way it works is you just sit down, relax, or lie down if you want to relax, and listen to my voice, and we'll go on a little inside journey. Take a few seconds to adjust yourself. Slow down your movements. Align your spine so it's long and you can breathe through your entire body. Maybe slowly roll your head gently side to side a couple of times. Then bring it to center. Take a big inhale and open your chest up towards the sky. Then exhale. Soften your shoulders down from your ears. At any time during this meditation, if you feel uncomfortable, move, adjust yourself, and find a better position for you. When you're ready, close your eyes, soften your mouth, your hands, your lower back, your glutes, your legs, your feet. Feel your body supported beneath you. Feel your breath moving up and down your entire body. Continue to soften and focus on your breath moving in your body. If your mind is racing, place your hands on top of your belly or your heart to help you connect with your breath. Mercury retrograde. It can be an overwhelming period with problematic communication and technical difficulties. Let's take these next minutes together to relax in Mercury retrograde. That is what Mercury retrograde is all about. It's our time to pause, to listen to the inside voice, to your intuition, to the universe in you whispering, to gain clarity in the retrograde and see all the wisdom that this is offering us, to reflect on how we can recalculate, review what's happening to us, around us, and how we can best respond and use the wisdom that's been given to us. If your mind drifts or is wandering, you can gently shift your focus back to your breath and the sensations in your body, or just let whatever is on your mind be as it is. Let's go into some affirmation work. I invite you to let my words wash over you and really permeate your body, mind, and spirit, like a white, blue, golden energy, like a light beam coming down on you from the sky, from the planet Mercury, from the god Hermes himself. I give myself permission to take breaks, to rest and relax in Mercury retrograde. I am opening myself up to patience in lieu of frustration or exasperation. And I remind myself that everything is going to be okay, no matter what. I choose to also go the extra mile in my communications and relationships. I see my throat chakra, my fifth chakra, spinning and gaining strength. As it spins faster, a blue light washes over me and pervades every cell, every pore in my body, in all my bodies. I breathe deeply and feel the energy funneling into my throat, which is bursting with dazzling blue light. I rest in this awareness. I decide to exert caution and to double check all the tech and all the digital communications without becoming paranoid or overly anxious. And I remember that this too shall pass. I stay centered and calm in the middle of chaos. I remember I can dance in a hurricane, but only in the eye. And I give myself permission to do so. I am open and ready to start letting go of the things in my past that do not serve my life and my higher self today, both physical ones and emotional ones, including people, projects, and beliefs. I am ready to download massive clarity around my next ideas and steps and plans. I am safe and relaxed. I wholly and completely trust myself in Mercury retrograde, as I do anytime. you now feel recharged and inspired and ready to receive the wisdom that Mercury retrograde is offering you. You know that you can come back to this meditation to pause as often as you like. Maybe you'd want to journal after that. You remember what Mercury retrograde is all about. As we bring this meditation to an end, take a deep breath and allow yourself to come back into the room slowly. Start feeling the texture of the clothes on your skin, the weight of your body on the chair or bed. Become aware of the sounds around you and start to move your body. When you feel it, gently open your eyes, smile, and go peacefully into the world to create and experience joy and gratitude. Thank you for listening. I hope you have enjoyed this meditation. Hopefully you're back.
I'm back.
I recommend drinking some water.
Thank you so much, Isaya. That was so needed, certainly by me. And I'm so glad that we have this as a recording, that we can share this out with as many people as it's meant to reach, because I think anyone who has a bad Mercury retrograde and listen to that meditation are just immediately going to feel all their fears and worries and everything diffused. It's really,
that was the plan.
Really beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much. Oh,
my pleasure.
And so
thank you.
Yeah, in our last couple of minutes, I just want to invite you, Isaya, to let us know if there's any way that anyone who's tuning into this session, either in the present or on the replay, may be able to find you and connect with you, work with you.
My name is Isaya and my business name is Isaya Belle. So if you're looking for me, you will find me everywhere under Isaya Belle on social media, but also my website is isayabelle.com. And I try to keep my website updated. So because I'm a tech goddess, so I'm supposed to be doing that. And so you will find most of my offerings to the world in there, both in the magic realm. So I have I have a free quiz that you can take if you want to know more about your main goddess archetype right now. I have also paid for offers. Obviously, you can coach with me. And in the tech realm, there's a lot of things going on. I have a Tech Goddess Academy with little courses or more important programs to help you with your tech. I also have a design and branding service and a website design service. So there's a lot. I'm too much woman, so I'm owning all of it. But basically, everything is under the big umbrella of Isaya Belle or isayabelle.com if you want the details.
And you also have a Mercury masterclass.
I have a Mercury Retrograde masterclass that I think I'm going to name Mercury for Dummies or something like that, because it's really for the basics of going back to this is not a danger zone, you know, because and I'm not just, I didn't say that, but now I can. I am not an astrologer or astrologist. I don't know how you'd say it. I'm not a specialist. I am just I dared to actually do this masterclass on Mercury because of my personal connection, very personal connection to Hermes. And I think there's for me, there's so much love in the tricks that Mercury plays with us, that if we can, you know, really go into, what you noted a few minutes ago, the joy of being disrupted and the fact that anything that is disruptive is done with love from Mercury. And the message has something for us in there. So Yeah. I love the guy. I can't say I love the guy.
Yeah. And let me just read these comments from our sisters here on the calls. Anna just says, thank you, that was beautiful. And Paula says, feeling very different about Mercury retrograde. Thank you. So yeah, and I'm sure other people who will be tuning into this in their own time afterwards will share similar sentiments. So with that, just want to thank everyone who joined us here today live. Thank you for taking
Thank you very
the time.
much indeed.
For everyone who's here on the replay, listening all the way to the end and enjoy that special meditation. I'm glad you joined us. And Isaya, most of all, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. That was really fun.
Mercury retrograde. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Really fun. And, you know, it seems that everything worked out, you know, so I'm really bringing...
There was a little bit of voice glitches in the middle,
yeah,
but
I'm sorry to say that this is not Mercury. This is me. This is my French countryside internet. I can't even blame Mercury for that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me. It was really fun.
Scapegoat.
Yeah, so thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Isaya.
All the best success for this series, which is amazing. I listened to the first episode earlier on.
Oh, Fabi, thank you so much. Lots of love to everyone.
Thank you very much.